What is up, everybody? All right. What is up, everybody? This is a special mastermind. I'm always fired up for these Friday masterminds, but I'm especially fired up. We've got four amazing mortgage badasses on today's call. We'll bring them in and out of the meeting. Think of this almost as Scriptopalooza for affordability strategies. But last week, we hit the news that the average age of a first-time home buyer went from 38 to 40. Bonkers. Like it used to be like, let's get our first home in the 20s, low 30s. Now we're in the 40s. And the average age of a home buyer right now, in America is 59 years old. It's almost 60. It's bonkers. And at the same time that happens, we're floating the idea of a 50-year mortgage. And I'll tell you right now, guys, to me, it's not good. It's not bad. What matters is price with advice. So I think it's a good opportunity to coin a phrase called financial freedom lending. And it's a good opportunity to bring our community together and talk about this. So Todd, before we start bringing in our rock stars, anything you want to say to frame and open today's call?
I think you kind of nailed it, Dave, right? It's price and advice. And, one of the things that Deb and I teach when we do our exactly what to say certification is there's times where you need to give zero advice, right? You need to give options. And so I'm excited to have our rock star originator friends here unpack it for everyone. And I think it's such a perfect time for this type of thing. We all know that it's blown up on social media. I was in a real estate agent mastermind this week, and everyone there was aware of it from social media, yet only one person out of maybe 60 had a client who asked about it. And so I got to imagine that there's all of our world, everyone who's follows you, that if you've mentioned it is aware of it. And so I love the whole idea of I guess they would call it news hacking, right? Well, Deb, you're the social media expert. What is that what we call it?
Yes, it's called news hacking. And just to echo on what you said, I made a post earlier this week on LinkedIn, and the amount of comments that came flooding in, which I know, Dan, you had the same on your Facebook and Instagram. And it made me step back and think this is why we need real advisors, and like Americans need people to help them make sense of what's the best path for them. Again, kind of siding with Dave, I wasn't putting it out there as one is good or bad. I think it's like golf clubs. There's certain clubs you would use for certain situations if it makes sense. And it just revealed two things, a little scary of what some people were writing who are in this space giving advice, and some of the feedback that it was given. And then to just how this is not something that people can just put in the chat GPT prompt and expect AI to give them the perfect solution if you don't have the full context or understand the financial strategy behind it. So advisors who use AI will not be replaced, but we do have to step up our financial advising game. And that's what I'm super excited about today's call with these badasses.
All right, guys. So one, I'm going to put a link in chat to the Mortgage Coach Manifesto. And if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching it live or it's a recording, I really want to push everyone. Take a minute. I mean, it's not a 1 minute read, but it's not a 10-minute read. I can read it in about 3 minutes. I think Jeremy Forcier read it in about 5 minutes. So we've got four amazing professionals. I don't think Sosi is here yet, but I'm sure he will at some point. Jeremy can only be on. Oh, good. Sosi's here. Jeremy can only be on the first half of the call, so I'm going to have Jeremy go first. But before I have Jeremy go first, I do want to get just a minute from each speaker. I'm going to have you go last, Jeremy, on what do you think? Is this good? Is this bad? Just give us a minute on your thoughts. And Dan Keller, why don't you go first? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll start with how I heard about it. I was coming back, going to the airport. I was down at a mortgage conference in Arizona, and me and the gentleman in the Uber were talking about the breaking news. And the Uber driver, I think you might have saw this because I posted this on social media. He goes, "Man, F that." We were talking about Trump, and he goes, "Man, F Trump, but he does some brilliant shit." So it kind of started with that. I don't think it really matters what we think about it. I think it matters what the consumers think about it. Our job, I think Todd just said this, is what I do. Present options. Every refinance, they get a 15-year, they get a 30, they get a custom, and then they get a cash out. And so I think from there, it's our job to then give advice. But I love Mortgage Coach because it allows us to produce options.
Yeah. And by the way, everyone on this call, you have fingers. What do you think? Is it good? Is it bad? Like, give us a sentence, give us a tweet on, so we just have a general sentiment of how folks that are on this call feel about it. If you're watching this on YouTube, put your comments. I really want to get a sense of how the industry is reacting. Of course, I have a sense because it's all over social media. Sean Herrero, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dan. I mean, I think it would be another option. I think there's lots of things that people talk about that never come to fruition, and this may be one of those things. I don't think anyone should ever not use leverage, right? I think a mortgage is one of the best tools to build what I call passive wealth, because real estate's the only way you get passive wealth. So it's just another option, but I don't think it's a game changer. I think there's plenty of ways to do better than adding 20 more years to your mortgage life. It's a gimmick. I am the guy that says the government's not coming to save us too. So I think we have a responsibility to ourselves. And the coolest thing about this for me, I'll wait a little bit to get into the details, but it's really made me evaluate, like, why do they even think we need this? And what has shifted? Like, talking about the age being 40. Everyone's having kids later in life too. Is it because they can't afford it, or is it that we're choosing to do things later in life than we used to? So it's made me think about a lot of different things, is really what it's done. But yeah, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just another option.
Yeah, love that. And guys, thanks for all the feedback in chat. We'll bring some of those comments in. I'm going to try to limit the 50-year mortgage debate to about half this call so that we have plenty of other time to talk about what are some other affordability strategies that are available right now in this market. Because remember, this is not available right now in this market, but what are available to help get first-time home buyers into homes. Sosi Avila, give us a minute or two, and then we'll bring in Jeremy.
What's up, brother? Can you guys hear me well?
We can. By the way, congratulations on twins.
Thanks, man.
Love watching you and your wife on Facebook, and so happy for you and your family, man.
We're super stoked too. We're visiting them here in the morning shift, so I'm at the hospital. So if it feels a little echoey, I apologize. But this is such a good conversation in my mind. I was like, I want to make time for it. So Dave, my answer would change depending on who's asking. If it's one of these like influencers who chase views and they don't even know how to do a mortgage, and they finally ran mortgage amortization schedules and they're trying to make claims against it, I'd be a hard yes. 50-year mortgage is amazing. If it's amongst three giants that I look up to a lot, and we all know how to have really good financial planning conversations, I'd be in the same sentiment. It can be really good. So I'm more of a pro on this. Definitely not so much of a con, but depending on who I'm going to speak with, my intentionality might change.
Love it, love it. So one last point, and then we're going to hear Jeremy's thoughts, and then we're gonna mastermind a little bit with J Dog, and like, how are you approaching this in the market? What are your thoughts in a deeper way? And then we're going to cover everybody on this call's thoughts. But I'm pro because it creates the conversation. Like, when the average age of a first-time home buyer is 40 and a 50-year mortgage is available, that means 90 is kind of like the America path. So I just think it creates a great conversation, and it makes mortgage a topic, and it makes financial freedom lending a topic. Jeremy, what are your thoughts, bro?
As Big Sean would say, I don't give up. So who cares? And I really mean that. And Dave and I debated this a little bit earlier, but like, who cares? It's not even real. I don't believe in anything that's not real yet. So whatever, dude. Pro, con, pro, percano, blueberries. Like, who gives a crap? Like
Let's see how many times we can quote that word.
It's literally not real. So that is how I feel about it, is that I've been sitting back and just watching. I haven't posted anything yet about it because I'm just curious, like what other people think. And it is a great conversation piece. I mean, there's no debate about that. Like, if it's in the media, it's in your face, you should be prepared to talk about it because people are going to ask you about it. But at the end of the day, if someone chooses to do a 50-year mortgage, right on. If someone chooses to do a 5-year mortgage, right on. If someone chooses to do a 28-year mortgage because they don't want to reamortize their loan, right on. Like it really just comes down to the advice that's given. But the big pet peeve that I have right now with the chatter about it and why I'm so freaking pissed off about it is that no one knows what they're talking about. And that's what drives me insane. And I have been trying not to feel edgy about it, but I can't help it. It's just like, hey, we don't know until A, it's real, B, what's it going to look like? Like, are banks going to want to carry a 50-year loan? If they are they going to charge 2% more in interest? Does that erase all the savings that there is? These are questions that we don't have answers for right now. Therefore, people that are trying to give advice that this is going to be a game changer for homeowners are giving poor advice. And I just don't like it. So that's my take on it. Affordability and age of people buying right now, crossing over 40 years old, first-time home buyers, etc. I love what Sean said. Oh my God, I would marry him. Like the reality is, I think people are choosing to do things later in life. That I actually do believe that. Now that doesn't mean though that people should still be trying to purchase a home younger in their lifespan. It just means that we're living longer, we're healthier. Hell, I look way better right now, no ego, than I did 14 years ago, right? And I'm older. Like right now, we're living longer. We're optimizing all different areas of our lives. We're way more experience-based as a culture. Like there's all these things that have changed. So I do like the fact that could it create opportunity? Yes. Do we even know what the opportunity is? Absolutely not. Like, are we qualified to have a true opinion on it? No. We're qualified to create hypotheses and theories around it. That's it right now. So until it's real, I have zero interest in it. Like I just have interest in what advice can I give my borrower today who's buying a house, who is in contract? How can they get the best strategy for the best possible deal to afford the monthly payment of what they can do right now? Because until you do something right now, there is no plan for the future. Like, so what you can do now determines what advice and what plan you make for the future. So that's been a big part of my conversations this week. I've gotten blown up about the 50-year mortgage as well, right? By multiple people. We got a, hey, not 40-year-old first-time homebuyer. We got a 27-year-old first-time homebuyer in contract yesterday. Okay. And what was the first thing that he asked? Hey, what do you think about this 50-year mortgage thing I just read about? Like, is that something that I should look at? Is it real? Like, what do you think? And it was a really great conversation about all the things that we just literally discussed. It's not real yet. Here's pros, here's potential cons, but they're all potential. Like we just don't know what they are yet, right? So I want you guys all to think about this, okay? If it does become real, I want you to ask yourself, how many 40-year mortgages have you guys done? How many? I can't count them on my hand. I think I've done one. And when I did do it, it was a NAGAM, like in 2008, 40-year NAGAM or something like that. Like that was a really long time ago. I even tried to put it in the chat to see, and chat couldn't even give me an answer. They were like, oh, it's considered a non-traditional mortgage and there's no real data on it on a 40-year mortgage. Okay. So now we're talking about a 50-year mortgage. I don't think it's such a concern about, hey, people are not going to pay off the loan. They're 40, they're going to be 90. Like people are carrying loans forever for the most part these days when they get a loan. So I don't know if that's such a big conversation piece, but how you pay off the mortgage can be through asset accumulation, which is what I use MortgageCoach for all the time, to show people investable assets over time, what that looks like. If you have, $1 million in cash net worth that you've made over 15 years through savings and compound interest, and you have a $700,000 loan, you do own your home free and clear if you want to, any day you want to. You can press a button, you can pay it off. So it comes down to advice around lifestyle choices and what people's lifestyle looks like. When you're qualifying a borrower, having chats about this, I highly encourage you guys to always say this line. Okay, it's one of my favorite scripts. I use it every single time, every single day. Is that if we're looking at qualifying, I can qualify you two different ways. There's objective qualifying, which is me just telling you this is what you're approved for. This is your max approval. These are what your monthly payments are, and that's how 90%, maybe more, and maybe 99% of our industry does it. Right? They just go, hey, you're pre-approved for 700,000. Like how many times have all of you originators got on a call, someone's already been pre-approved with somebody else, right? And you're giving them a second look or a new strategy. And you ask them like, hey, so what's your monthly payment budget? And they go, well, we haven't really thought about that very much. Or they say like 3,500. And then I go, well, what were you pre-approved for previously? We were pre-approved to 800,000. Okay. So that 800,000 is going to be way higher than your $3,500 a month payment budget. Did you talk about that with the other loan officer? No, we never talked about that before. I'm approved to 800,000. So subjective qualifying is something I talk about all the time. It's way more important because objectively is easy. Subjectively is, where do you spend your money every single month? Do you go on vacations? What type of vacations do you go on? Like the whole house poor thing, right? And having those type of conversations, bringing that into the 50-year mortgage debate or any type of affordability debate is way more important. I'd rather teach people how to pay off their debt, like consumer debt, et cetera, than showing them that they can get a 50-year mortgage and qualify for more now. I would much rather show them how can you create financial independence, financial freedom in your ecosystem that you create.
Love, love, love everything you said, Jeremy. So I want to get to other people, but I want to ask you one more question and try to get a script out of you. We've rolled out the uncommon LO. I think I could get a script for the uncommon LO. By the way, everybody on this call, if you are not following Uncommon LO on Instagram and or TikTok, follow it today. It's daily 1-minute scripts. Give us your 1-minute script on the 50-year. So like pretend I was that buyer and I said, hey, what do you think about the 50-year mortgage? Give us a minute, no more than 2 minutes. And knowing that you're a mortgage coach and you're going to give that customer a total cost analysis at some point, give us how you approach it and how you transition into the mortgage coach at some point. Let's hear something.
Sure. So as far as a 50-year mortgage goes, Dave, I just have one question for you. What's most important to you? Paying less per month or being financially free? That's the script. It's not very difficult.
Ooh, financial freedom lending, guys.
Like which one's most important to you? So you always have to give, it's such an option close question, right? Is that which one's most important to you? And I do this all the time because it gets people to focus on not their emotions, but to like what's really important to them. And then you can have a better conversation. So let's just say you said, a monthly payment is really what's most important to me, like right now. Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do is show you multiple options. I'm going to show you a 30-year fixed. I'm going to show you a 50-year mortgage if it's real. I'm going to show you a 50-year mortgage. We're going to compare them side by side. So that way you can decide what is really going to be the best for you as far as interest paid over time, principal pay down, net worth created, and of course, what's most important to you, the monthly payment. So you can't script this without them telling you what's most important first, right? And that's something that we skip over all the time. When I'm rushed, I skip over it, for example. When I mess up, I hate it when I get off a call and I'm like, I rushed and I didn't ask the right question, right? I just rushed and didn't ask the right question. The right question is, what's important to you? What's most important to you? Once you know what's most important to them, and if you want the super secret sauce, it's what's most important to you and what's your biggest fear and concern. Those two together is like peanut butter and jelly, baby. Like it is so good together. Like if you just use those two things, you're going to get the information you need to know what you need to present to the client.
So it's kind of like chocolate and peanut butter. Like it's delicious.
Yeah.
We're talking creamy or crunchy peanut butter.
All right, guys. So Jeremy, you killed it. Everyone listening
Thanks,
to this,
guys.
we will have a 1-minute script on the Uncommon LO Monday or Tuesday next week. Make sure you follow it. Dan Keller, I'm gonna have you go last in this 50-year debate, just because I somewhat know how you think, because you've created some badass social media. Everybody, if you are not following Dan and you haven't seen how he is news hacking, how he is delivering value to the community, make sure you follow him. Make sure you watch that. So Dan, you'll go last. Let's do Sean next. So Sean, give us a little more. You heard Jeremy talk about it. You heard what he's going to do, what he's not going to do. How are you positioning this in the market? What have you already done to communicate this to the market? And what are you planning to do in the coming weeks?
I kind of echo a lot of what Jeremy said. When I worked at Countrywide and B of A and they talk about new loan programs we were rolling out, I didn't care. And I'm like, don't tell me what's coming. Just let me know when it gets here. right? So the 50-year debate is, this could be a completely pointless conversation because that program most likely won't ever come out. Most likely. The portable mortgage thing probably won't come out. I always look at, the government is not coming to save us, right? So they're not rolling these things out because they want to improve home affordability. It benefits them. It benefits them in that we pay interest for 20 years longer at a higher interest rate. Okay. If they really wanted to improve home affordability, they could just get rid of LLPAs. Like, I'm pretty sure every single person on this Zoom right now uses jumbo loan programs to avoid high cost or high loan balance loans. Private money, private investor money is cheaper than the government. So why do we think the government's here to help us? And that's what I keep trying to drive. And that's an unpopular opinion, but I think it's the truth. Like, a 50-year mortgage isn't a good solution. There's better ways to create savings. Like, I ran math on this. I said, okay, if a 30-year fix is at 6.25, let's assume the interest rate on a 50-year would be 0.5% higher, right? Anyone who's saying it's going to be the same, we know that's not going to happen. It's saved on a $500,000 home purchase with 15%, or I'm sorry, with 15,000 down, 3% down. It was $160 difference in payment. Like, $160 a month is not making or breaking someone's situation. And if it is, they shouldn't buy that house because they should have more than $160 of financial freedom every month anyways. And what this has done for me, I think the good thing about this program is well, I shouldn't even say it that way. The good thing about this idea is that it's made me rethink, what is $160 a month? That's $5 a day. Every single person is making choices that cost them more than $5 a day. So do we want home ownership, or do we want to spend $5 a day on stuff we don't need to? So like, I can't unsee it now, unfortunately, but I spend like $20 a day on processed food and coffee for no reason, like $600 a month easily on stuff I don't need, right? I think convenience is killing home ownership. I don't think it's anything else. We can justify DoorDash because we don't want to get up and go walk down the street to get whatever food we're ordering. I call it the Amazon effect. People want what they want when they want it, but only when they want it. But when they want it now. And that is the convenience factor that's been developed over the last couple of years. So if you don't need to add 20 years to your mortgage, just make better life choices. And if your lifestyle says, I don't want to give up spending $20 on food and drinks every single day, cool, then buy a house in a different area. Like, there's other solutions, or maybe the 50-year is the right thing for you if that's where you are in your lifestyle. But I look at it kind of like that California Dream for All program. The internet went nuts over this thing, and it came to be nothing. And I think it was one of the worst loans that was ever created, right? It's, hey, we're the government. We're here to help. We're going to give you 20% down. There's no mortgage insurance. You are going to pay more in fees. You are going to pay a higher rate. And by the way, you can't refinance out of that mortgage that you got until you give us the money that we gave you back, which you'll never be able to. So you're gonna be stuck in this more expensive mortgage. That is how I see these government sponsored programs. They're not here to help us. They're helping themselves under the illusion of helping us. And I just think there's far better ways to advise people how to create financial independence and passive wealth through real estate other than stretching a mortgage out for another 20 years.
Yeah. And by the way, Jeremy, your notes are in host and panelist. Make sure if anyone wants to put notes, keep them coming. Guys, by the way, I love how interactive this is. So thank you everyone for all the feedback, all the interaction. I mean, this may be one of the most interactive calls of the year. We'll try to have some time towards the end to get into all that. Todd, anything you want to ask or say, at this point in the call?
Well, I mean, it's a mortgage coach call, so I think it's a data and numbers thing. I asked a really smart friend of our community. I'm like, well, what do you think the 50-year mortgage saves? And he hadn't done the math yet. He's like, oh, I bet it probably saves 30% in payment. And I was like, oh, no, like, do the math. It's the payment's not that huge. And so I love the fact that you could use a TCA to show other options. My thought would be, especially in a lot of markets where there's more inventory, have the seller contribute and buy the rate lower. And you could literally use a 30-year mortgage with a permanent rate buy down and have it give you the 50-year payment that someone is seeking to, to create affordability. I think that was probably my biggest surprise, is that where it was an affordability play that really didn't look any more affordable, especially if you raised up the interest rate for the longer term hold. So I didn't know if any of you guys were approaching it from a data perspective as well. I know you guys probably are, since you're all so smart.
You want to speak to that, Sean?
I mean, that was the first thing I did, is saw the news this weekend, got up Monday morning, built out a TCA to say, I wonder how much this is going to save. And I was like, $160 a month. Like, this is dumb. And that's immediately where my mind went to. And then it was like 160 times 12 divided by 365 days equals, we're talking about $5 a day here. Like, thank you, government. That doesn't move the needle for people. And if it does, again, like, you should have more than $160 a month to live your life. Like, I just don't want people being house poor.
So and this is community to everyone on this call, for everyone that has a mortgage coach. Your competitive advantage in the world, whether a 50-year mortgage happens or not, it's not going to be unseen. And that script that Jeremy has, do you want the lowest payment or do you want the fastest financial freedom? Financial freedom lending, if you're a referral-based local loan officer, that's where it's at. You're local. You can care about people beyond the transaction. The call center lenders are going to be very transactional. They're going to sell rates and fees and programs and monthly payments, and they're not going to sell financial freedom lending like you can as a local provider. So it's never been more important. And for you that are on this call and you don't have Mortgage Coach, commercial guys, you need Mortgage Coach. Like, first of all, you can't be smart yourself around this. And by the way, this isn't going to be the last option. And this is going to be the last affordability strategy that gets floated. I personally think we will see more interest-only ARMs. It's just a question of time. Right now, there's still yield curve issues. By the way, the affluent big banks and private banking groups are doing a lot of 7-year ARMs, interest-only ARMs, and 10-year ARMs. And I do believe there's a case to be made to democratize that for consumers and do interest-only ARMs. So anyways, there's going to be more to say. Hey, I want to get a 1-minute script from you, Sean, and then we're coming to you, Sosi, and then we're coming to you, Dan. And obviously, we're not going to get done with the 50-year debate by halftime. This might even take the whole call. But we will share other affordability strategies. I just shared a few. But give me a 1-minute script that we could put in the uncommon LO. If someone did ask Sean Herrero about a 50-year mortgage, one, how are you going to respond? And then how are you going to position the Mortgage Coach TCA as hey, I can help you make this decision? What's it sound like, Sean?
Well, I'm not good at scripts, but I'll tell you what I would do. So everything I do is Mortgage Coach. There's not a time I'm not sharing a Mortgage Coach presentation with someone. So if I'm talking to someone, they say, Sean, what do you think about this 50-year mortgage? I would illustrate that for them. Great question. Let's build it out. And I'm probably on Zoom live doing this. I would model out the 30-year. I would model out the 50, which I've already built, right? And then I would say, here's the difference. Here's how much money it saves you monthly. What is most important to you, right? Is that monthly savings going to help you to get to where you want to be? No. Okay, cool. Then let's not do that. Let's look at another option, right? I don't have scripts because I have conversations, and that's really what I try to do is everything is customized and tailored to the individual I'm working with, because I don't think mortgages are one size fits all. Sorry, I don't have a script, but
don't
that's
be
my
sorry.
mindset. Like, that's what my mind
way.
goes to, right? Yeah, like my mindset is Seth Godin has this in This Is Marketing says nobody needs a 1/4-inch drill bit, and that's kind of where it stopped. But they need a 1/4-inch hole, right? Nobody wants a mortgage, but they want to own a home, and we have to get the emotional side of why and make sure we're building it for them specifically. But I will say the reason I think anyone here in this community should be talking about the 50-year mortgage is because it is a big topic right now, and it gives you the opportunity to give advice, right? Your advice is your advice. You could say the 50 years is the best thing that's ever happened, and that would be your advice if you truly believe that. You could be me and say the government's not here to save you and put that out on the internet, and there's going to be people that relate to that. So it's a good thing to talk about, whether it comes to fruition or not, because it has people's wheels turning right now.
Love it. What's your volume going to be this year? How much in production?
Probably like 120, 130. I'm at like
So
110-ish right now.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure Jeremy's over 100 million. So just looking to remind everybody on this call, the people that we're talking to are closing a lot of loans, doing a lot of volume, and in Sean's case, and I know in Jeremy's case, having great conversations. So, Sosi, thank you very much for being here, brother.
Yeah, man.
Kind of like same question to you, Deborah Bird. I'm going to bring you in between Sosi and Dan and talk about what loan officers should be doing on social media. So be ready to share some D Bird advice. But Dan, like, how are you, or no, Sosi, how are you approaching this in the market?
Dude, I've not been able to tackle it head on yet because I didn't have the time that it deserved to run numbers and figures. I actually was working on this last night a little bit more too, and I'm finishing up a new social media post that I'm really excited to be able to share. But that's to come later on today. As far as like this conversation goes, I agree in some ways, but at the same time, I would offer for especially guys like Sean and Jeremy who have so much to offer, I'd offer them to consider to like turn it up a little bit in regards to the opinion or the advice forward. And I'll just share why I'm getting more and more passionate about it every single time I look at the numbers, every time I think about it further. I think it is going to create opportunities for people in a way that they didn't have before. I really do. And I'll share some figures right now in a moment, but at the end of the day, when you look at least who I've experienced being one of the first-time home buyers who has the most challenges, it's a first-time home buyer who makes a good amount of money in a high-cost area, right? Like Orange County. I've seen these people struggle. I've seen first-time home buyers in this situation where they are educated, they are making higher W-2 income, but they just default to making decisions that miss home ownership, right? They end up defaulting and renting and investing the difference. They end up defaulting to, oh my gosh, I'm budgeted just for this. I can't go above it. So that house is 50 grand more. I can't buy it. And then all of a sudden, 12 months later, they're coming back and the sticker shock has gone away. And now they're having to buy that house for a higher price at that point. And so that being the case, I'm definitely in a place of conviction where I'm a lot more passionate about this subject. And I hope that we all become more passionate about it as a community. Because to Sean's point, I think, some of the most dangerous words and scary words to hear is, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. Yet at the same time, I think the government can produce things that are aids, but we have to have loud enough voices to make them understand what to produce. And I'm a little sad right now at the industry, and just even with a lot of commentators, political commentators, market commentators, I see so many people default right now to saying it's too expensive in a loan in the 5th-year run, so just discount it. It's like, no, that's not what it should be. My opinion is people do way too much 2D math in a world that's 3D, right? Mortgages, rates dropping, refinances, appreciation, value going up, opportunities missed because of neighborhood prices. These are all components that are 3D. And we continue to do 2D math with mortgages when mortgages are multidimensional, just in the fact that they're in our lives in that way. So all that to say, here's my premise. I do believe that it's a small amount, right? To Sean's point, it could be a $5 coffee difference a day. But when I ran the numbers and I did a mortgage coach, and this is what I'm going to put in my social media posts, when I'm looking at somebody buying in a high balance world, right? A 1.2 purchase price, a 50-year mortgage gives them about $50,000 more in purchasing power. I know plenty of first-time home buyers that have not wanted, no matter how much I consult them, no matter how much I show them, they have not wanted to push that budget because they have a fixed number set in their mind and they don't want to go above it, right? And so I think a 50-year mortgage can truly empower somebody to have more purchasing power and still be positive. So for example, in my social media post, to give you guys a little teaser of it, what I did is I showed Tommy is a first-time home buyer who budgeted for 1.2 million, right? I did a case study just because work with a lot of financial advisors, CPAs, and this is kind of the world that I've now entered into. So I did a case study where it's like Tommy is going to budget for 1.2 million of a purchase price. His house that he wants is more than that. He decides to rent. The difference between his rental amount and his mortgage payment, plus his down payment, he invests into the markets. The average homeowner has a mortgage for 8 years. So that's what Tommy did. Jenny, she bought a 1.2. She had a budget of 1.2. Because of the 50-year mortgage, she went to 1.25. She bought the house. She just kept a regular payment. So I'm not even considering, refinances, lower payments, any of that stuff. When you compare somebody whose rent goes up by 2% and they have less to invest every month, but they invest all of the difference, and somebody who bought the home, Jenny came out, I think, I have to relook at the number, but like $100,000 higher in net worth. And so I just think this product can actually help a lot more families. And if there was a petition going out right now, I would hope that there would be more loan officers who would be running more figures and realizing that this will help those who aren't in the position where they're just, in the privilege and benefit of going, oh, do I want a 30 or do I want a 50 because of budgetary pieces, or because, I'm just looking at paying off my loan faster. There's some people where it makes a difference of, will I even buy or not? And I think that person who's been forgotten, and that person who home ownership has not been affordable for them anymore, I think that's the person we need to champion for in this type of loan product.
Well, and I think the thing I like about what you said is if it gets more consumers into the conversation of homeownership, that's good. Like if it can actually get people asking, thinking, talking, having a conversation, hopefully with a mortgage coach, and hopefully they're having a financial freedom with housing conversation. So far, I think that's the commonality of everything I've heard. Sounds like Sosi is saying, hey, Sean and Jeremy, hey, let's be a little more positive about it. I do want to throw out there, Resi Club has the most comprehensive article. And I don't know if they made their breakdown on the 30-year mortgage available to everyone. I pay for like I think I pay $100 a year and get the Resi Pro. I've got the paid for version of Resi Club. We'll put a link to it, but it is the best breakdown and article on, hey, what do we think how do we think it will be priced and why? He really does a great job of breaking it down. And so check out Resi Club for more details on that. Deborah Bird, get ready to come in and give your, ask Sosi questions. But Sosi, I want to get a 1-minute script from you on if a buyer asked you about a 50-year mortgage, give us 1 minute on how that might sound. And if you are going to provide them with a mortgage coach, which I know you're going to, how are you going to weave that into the conversation?
A 50-year mortgage compared to a 30-year mortgage is all going to be dependent upon what is your current situation right now. If you're telling me that the payment difference is going to mean I buy a house or not buy a house, even though it might sound counterintuitive, even though it might be different than the advice you're hearing in the mainstream media, let's spend about 5 minutes running every single scenario where I can show you that the 50-year will not just make homeownership possible for you, but the 50-year will make you more money in the long run than the alternative. Yes, in a hypothetical world, is a 50-year more expensive than 30? For sure. That's not even debatable. But could a 50-year make you more money than the alternative of not buying at all and renting? Yes, my argument would be it would be a better option for you. So let's have a conversation about unpacking that fully for your situation.
All right. So before Deborah comes in, I want to do another version of that when we're going to have Dan go. But when we come back to you for a second pass, the 50 years not available right now. So I want to okay, what are you going to recommend to that customer? Like what numbers are you going to run now for them? Deborah, anything you want to say before we bring Dan on stage and hear his thoughts?
Well, I love the 2D math versus the 3D math that you talked about. And my question that I haven't seen anyone even compare this, but based off what you just shared, Sosi, have you thought about like a break-even point of if you were to continue renting versus get into homeownership sooner? And if that's why you were recommending this product to this person, like what would be the break-even point of when it would make sense or not make sense? Have you thought about that math to run?
Yeah, at least from how I understand the math, I think the appreciation of buying a higher asset than the rate of return of lower invested funds, it's a race that just doesn't catch up. But I haven't ran it all the way. Maybe after year 30 it would. But I just shared a TCA in the chat too. Like I showed a 15-year, 30-year, a 50-year with a reinvestment strategy, and then the 50-year with a 30-year monthly payment equivalence to show the growth in $50,000 purchasing power.
Yeah. And Sean just shared his By the way, everybody on this call, I would love to it's a mastermind. So if you have created any mortgage coach experiences that bring education to this affordability conversation, share them. Let's collect them. I will promise everybody after this call, I'll use AI to help me, and I'll create a taking action document that includes all the takeaways. It includes all the total cost analysis that were shared, and it'll be a Google Doc. We'll share it in our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Facebook group. I'll also put a link to that. I don't know what I'll call it, like the 50-year playbook. I don't know, something playbook, and I'll share it at savageinsights.com. So by Monday, you'll have a Google Doc that will have all these TCAs, all these ideas and stuff. So that was awesome. Deborah, anything else before we bring Dan on?
No, that's it.
D. Keller, dude, you're not last. You're best, or at least we hope you will be. You've definitely been killing it on social media and sharing it. But what are your thoughts on this? What are you doing, and what are you going to do to turn this into clarity and confidence in your local market?
Yeah, I take a different approach than Jeremy. I could see his frustration. I could see how he could sit this one out. I don't think we should be sitting this one out. I think if it makes the news, we're too late.
Yep.
So if it's on the news, we're too late to the game. Jeremy, Sean, Sosi, Deb, Denise, we're all too big of players in our industry to not be getting this out before our clients, future clients, realtors see this on the internet. And then now we're playing defense. So, I mean, I was on vacation. I was coming back. Well, actually, I was debriefing down in Arizona at the Core Summit. And, there was some buzz around it. And then, of course, I got on social media and I saw a couple of news outlets that I follow on social media sharing memes of Trump suggesting a 50-year mortgage. And then I looked right down at the little share icon and it had already been shared thousands of times. I'm like, holy shit, I got to jump on this. So I'm like, the easiest way, I jump into MortgageCoach. I take a 15-year, a 30-year, a 50-year, $700,000 price point, 10% down. And I just wanted to look at the data. So before we go talking about it, and I believe that we should stay somewhat neutral. I think that there's not one size fits all. And so before I went and talked about it, and you guys can fact check this, I think I made 3 posts on this. And pretty much every single one of them was pretty neutral. It was options based. And I think I was asking questions. What do you think of this? The comments and the DMs blew my mind. A lot of defensive people, a lot of realtors and lenders that I don't even know, were super aggressive. It was weird. And I'm like, dude, I'm not suggesting that this is a one size fits all or this is going to solve. I said, this could help. I believe this could help. The number one issue right now facing the housing industry is affordability. It may help. I think Sean's spot on. I think there's other options, loan level pricing adjustments, healthy adjustable rate mortgages, maybe some other programs that are designed to lower the cost of borrowing money. But again, the government's not here. It's just a smoke screen. So I think number one, we have to be out front. If it's on the news, we're too late. Number two, options. Number three, I think that it's all about the customer's goals. So if you want a script, I'm like Sean, I have conversations. I don't really have a go-to script. I can tell you that I believe in leverage. I love social media for leverage. I love my 3,000 plus database for leverage. And I love realtors for leverage. So I got back on Tuesday from a little bit of a vacation, a little Disneyland trip after the Core Summit. And I booked 3 big real estate agent office meetings. I've spoken 3 large real estate offices. And this is the question that I asked after I had a slide up there on a 50-year mortgage. I asked how many of you guys have heard about this in the news. Most of the real estate agents raised their hand. And this would be my script, Dave. I said, what was the first thing that came to mind when you saw this news? And I would say the same thing. I do say the same thing to a customer. Like, what's the first thing? Because that's going to tell you how to position your advice. If they're like, wow, it could save me a ton of money, or wow, it's going to be really expensive. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm up here in Seattle. There's a lot of tech people that went right to ChatGPT. And what does ChatGPT say about it? You're going to pay a ton of extra interest over time. Cool. So I want to see their approach. I want to see how they're wired and how they're thinking about this. And then my response to that is really, really simple. Would you rather save $360 a month on your payment or $278,000 on your loan? And then I pull out a MortgageCoach TCA that I already have made. The $278,000 over the life of the loan is a 20-year mortgage, not a 30, compared to a 50. The $364 a month savings is a 50. So depending on what they're trying to do. But then when I give them that TCA, they see a 20-year. They see a 15-year, a 20-year, a 30-year, and a 50-year option for home purchasing or even home refinancing. But here's the deal. It allows me to go back to my strength, which is leveraging MortgageCoach, options, and then teaching them about wealth. And so I'll show you this. I stacked these next to each other so that I have them to share. And this is just really, really simple. I took screenshots of MortgageCoach, the same scenario, you guys, 700,000. And I did a net worth analysis over 5 years and a net worth analysis over 15. And I did use renting at $3,000 a month up here in Seattle. That's fairly inexpensive. And even if you look at a 50-year option, over 5 years, you're still growing your total net worth by 340 grand versus 192 renting. So it still pencils. And then here's the other argument that I'm seeing. Well, it's tougher to gain equity. Since when does a long-term mortgage impact how much your home appreciates? Okay, so your home is going to go up in value. Yes, you're paying more interest over 50 years. I've never met someone that, well, maybe one person, my grandpa, that stayed in a 30-year mortgage for 30 years and actually paid the thing off without refinancing. So then I show them this report right here. And you can see that a home that goes up in value at 6% versus renting is going to create X number of net worth or wealth over 5 and 15 years. So I really go back to right here, keeping the main thing the main thing. Why do you want to buy a home? To call a place a home, to own a place, to have freedom, and to create wealth. So we focus on that. I use MortgageCoach to provide solutions there. But to put a button on this, I think anyone who's listening, you have to create some commentary around this so that they don't go to the news. Like Renee Rodriguez says, if they go to the news, they're going to frame what they see and they're going to create their own narrative versus us being the advisors and them coming to us for more information.
Love it, Dan. I did a post on Monday on LinkedIn. I also pushed it on Facebook. And I think it's the only post I've done where, one, I got a lot of great industry feedback, and then I also had high school friends reach out and say, hey, when I saw that, I thought of you, Savage, and I was thinking about reaching out. Thanks for the video. So I do think the term news hacking is good to be a leader. It is an opportunity to be a leader. I'm not going to try to influence anybody, whether you turn this into a positive or you go negative. I am going to influence everybody that it's financial freedom revolution. Game on. I am going to advocate that if you're a loan officer, that you have MortgageCoach, and if you have MortgageCoach, you should be doing multiple MortgageCoach total cost analysis so that you know the numbers and that you can have these conversations with people. And if you're not, you're just plain old not optimizing your value and your opportunity in the market. Todd, we're in the last 10 minutes. I was planning to spend more time. And by the way, remember, share your total cost analysis, Dan. If you could share that link. Remember, I will create a playbook and have that available by Monday in the MortgageCoach Facebook group, as well as at the top of savageinsights.com. I will also use the Savage code, the mobile club. We'll put a link, we'll tell you, like, if you're not in the Savage Code mobile club, text your mobile number. We'll put what that number is down below. And I will also alert everybody about that. So Todd, where do you want to go? How should we wrap this up? Make sure you make some of this actionable, and then we'll see if we have another round of questions for folks.
Yeah, I got two things. One of the things that I loved hearing was Sean and Dan and Sosi and even Jeremy say, hey, I don't really have scripts, right? I just have conversations with people, because that's really what Deb and I teach when we do our Exactly What to Say certifications. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check out EWTS with ToddandDeb.com. We've got information. We're doing a virtual version of it. So we're bringing it to you so you don't have to come to us. First week of December. We've got 4 seats left. So if you're on the fence thinking about it, now's your time to pull the trigger on that. And then my other concern, Dave, is that, I saw the pivot like yesterday evening when I was looking at the news that they're now talking, well, we got 50-year got panned in the media. Let's look at this portable mortgage thing. So I don't know if we want to open the portable mortgage can of worms with 10 minutes to go in our conversation. But I do think, again, as we're talking to the community just now, you now know what to say when someone's calling you about a 50-year mortgage and how to engage in the conversation and create a TCA. And then this next conversation is going to be around something that's going to sound totally crazy and foreign to everyone, this idea of a portable mortgage.
Yeah, I don't think we should try to nail that. Because I also, like we've talked already, we spent 50 minutes on something that's not here, but it is something that allows you to create a bridge into what is here. So real quick, I do want to know what strategies like 2-1 buy downs, like permanent buy downs, like ARMs are you using to create affordability for your clients? And did Sosi have to jump, by the way? Is Sosi still here?
No, he's here.
Okay, Sosi, how do you kind of take the bridge from affordability in this market? And then Sean, let's have you share how you do that, and then we'll close it out with you, Dan. Sosi, what are the best affordability strategies that you're using right now in the market?
Yeah, one of the biggest things comes from being able to really help the client be partnered with the right realtors that can then strategize credits if necessary, and if even available or possible, I should say. So we're doing a lot of still like, let's offer higher prices to get credit, especially because we're seeing more multiple offers going out for any like first-time home buyer situation. We're also doing 1-0 buy downs, lender paid 1-0 buy downs. So we're buying with X amount, increasing the interest rate, being able to give them a 1-year buy down just based on the yield spread there for the lender paid buy down. For homeowners who are in a position and they're getting ready to potentially leverage this home as a rental property in the future, we are looking at 40-year IO payments if they're that savvy for it. So to Jeremy's point, I think I've done 3 40-year IOs already in the last 16 months. Their pricing has been fire, especially in the NQM space. And then the fourth piece would be looking at other products that don't have the same level, low level pricing adjustments. So I've been really surprised to see the appetite that a lot of investors have for NQM and how aggressive they're getting for pricing, especially multifamily with lower down. I think that's been a really cool piece to kind of compare side by side and help capture some savings. But yeah, NQM for us, it's been a big part of the business lately, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, those are great ideas. And no doubt, guys, first-time home buyers, buying owner-occ units, duplex, triplex, fourplex is a great strategy. And reminder, there are down payment assistance programs on units in some markets for some people. So there's a lot of creative ways to get into homeownership. Sean, what are you doing?
Still doing a lot of the buy downs, but with the 2-year interest rate buy downs or even the 1 year, it's really critical to me that they understand what the actual payment will be if and when it adjusts. I'm having a lot of people come to me that are like, hey, I didn't think everybody told me rates would be lower by now, and I can't afford the full rate. Right. And that's what I always look at, what our human reactions or how our psychology works. Right. It's very easy to convince ourselves of why circumstances will be different in the future to buy something bigger now. And I'm trying to always educate people on that mindset and then really looking at their other debts. We always think of household debt as household debt. So we compare rent to a mortgage, or we can compare our existing mortgage payment to our new mortgage payment if we're going to refinance. I'm looking at, we got to get rid of all these 19 to 30% credit cards that are really what are killing you. It's not your mortgage, it's not your house. It's the spending over here that's really hurting you. So I'm trying to get people to look at affordability from a total household cash flow perspective, more so than just house to house.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dan Keller, affordability strategies. What else are you doing that's available right now in the market?
Yeah. Before I do that, how cool is it though that the mortgage industry is in the news? Like
Yeah,
how cool is
right?
normal 50-year IOs? I saw another one yesterday about Trump talking about making assumable mortgages great again. I mean, it's just like, come on. it's kind of cool. We haven't been in the positive spotlight in a long time. So I think the fact that the government or the world is talking about making homes more affordable and it involves us is awesome. I think what's kind of like what Sean's talking about, when I'm sitting down with clients, I'm actually pushing them to think about this. Hey, do you know the average lifespan of a mortgage today in today's market? How long are people staying in their houses now? They really don't know. And I said, well, it's up. It's up to about 11 years from 5 to 7 years in the past. So you're most likely going to be in your first home a little bit longer than people traditionally were. And so let's create a strategy around that. Let's look at their debt. Let's look at their credit card. Let's look at their auto loan payments and what they're actually paying in debt. This makes us way more valuable, you guys, versus just taking a loan application. And then from there, I mean, we're up in Seattle. It's a little bit different. It's still fairly competitive up here. In certain cases, we can get credits. I'm looking at closing cost credits. I haven't really done a 2-1 buy down in a long time. I think we're getting really, really close. We're knocking on the door. We're in the 5s-ish. Let's just play devil's advocate. Let's say rates don't really go down a ton. They go down into the low mid 5s. So maybe 5.25, 5.5 is the best we'll ever get. So we are having that permanent interest rate buy down strategy, closing cost strategy, but it's all unique to the consumer based off of their current financial situation. But asking them those questions to help them kind of realize what this will look like over the next 10 or 11 years is really important.
So guys, it got posted this morning in our YouTube channel. I had a strategic planning call for CEOs and executives with Brian Hale, and he had mentioned that there was a Matthew McConaughey commercial for Salesforce where he talked about mortgages. I actually haven't seen it yet, but to Dan's point, mortgages are in the news. Deborah Bird, social media extraordinaire, what do you recommend? Should loan officers be talking about this on social media, and any plug and play best practices that we should close out with?
Well, obviously, yes, because I feel like social is your digital education platform when you use it for social good, like a lot of these pros on this call do. And because we only have 2 minutes left, Dave, this is going to be my commitment. I'm going to put a plug and play kit together for your article or the thing that you're going to be posting on Monday that will not only help you from a social influence, but also with AI indexing and authority. So if you want to be
Let's
more
go.
visible on social and on AI, then make sure you follow, you're in the text group of Dave's, and you get that playbook.
Love that, D Bird. Thank you very much. It's always an honor having you part of this community and on this call. So guys, Todd Bookspan and Jeremy Forcier are going to be doing a strategic planning workshop this Tuesday. So this Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific. I'm going to be on the call, but it's really going to be Todd as a coach, as the leader of Win by Noon, and Jeremy talking about like, what does strategic planning look like? Like, and so even if you've already done strategic planning, I think it'll probably be a good hour of your time. And if you haven't done it, I think it's going to be extraordinary for you. So, this Tuesday, 9 o'clock, check it out. Todd, wrap it up for us, bro. Close it out in a Win by Noon way.
I am fired up for the conversation on Tuesday with Jeremy. We all know that is going to be not just fun, but educational, or not just educational, but fun. I want to make sure you guys all heard something that Deborah Bird just said, that plug and play is playing in the AI, be found on AI space. So be paying attention. If you're not following her, you should. I think, Deborah, your post you did on 50-year mortgages a while back this week was great. So again, you guys should be taking a look at her info. The bottom line is this, right? We had the gift of having some of our favorite members of our community here that shared their time, their ideas, their conversations, their TCAs with you. And so now you have the opportunity to figure out, how are you going to take action? And so you heard Dave say it, he's going to put out an amazing taking action plan notes on Monday. It's going to have Deborah's addition to that. So I would be number one, going back, listening to what you see here, looking at the TCAs here and figuring out what's your take going to be and how can you put that into play. And then on Monday, make sure that if you haven't subscribed to savage insights so that you can get that update and look inside of our Facebook community, the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. Are we calling it the Trust Engine Productivity Mastermind, Dave? Now I forget which one we're calling.
I just pushed it back to Mortgage Coach Mastermind because it's all about how to go from loan officer to mortgage coach. So guys, we'll see you next Tuesday. If you do not subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe today. There's going to be at least 3, maybe 5 scripts in the Uncommon LO. That is a badass tool for loan officers that want to be the ultimate Uncommon LO. By the way, what's the Uncommon LO? They're winning in this market. They're among the top 20% professionals, and they're doing it in a way that's future-proof. So make sure you subscribe to that. This call is a wrap. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Boom.
Thank
Good seeing you, my friends.
Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.